I never thought I'd be the kind of person to say this, but betrayal doesn't always come from enemies. It comes from the people you'd take a bullet for. That's exactly what happened to me. It started on what seemed like a completely normal Thursday. I was running late from work, exhausted, barely holding it together from a long day, and all I could think about was crashing on the couch with my boyfriend and venting about my idiot boss. Just a normal evening. I didn't know that within the hour, my entire world was going to collapse. When I opened the front door, I remember hearing laughter. Soft, close, familiar. I thought maybe he was watching one of those cheesy sitcoms he always liked. But something in my gut felt off. The laughter wasn't coming from the living room. It was coming from down the hall. From my mother's bedroom. At first, I froze. You know that weird out-of-body feeling when your brain tries to protect you from what it already knows? I stood there, trying to rationalize it. Maybe he was helping her fix something. Maybe she asked him to bring something upstairs. My hand was literally shaking as I reached for the doorknob. What I saw when I opened that door, I wish I could erase it. I wish I could unsee it. My boyfriend, my mother, together, in her bed. And in that instant, time just snapped. The air felt too thick to breathe. My knees gave out before my brain could even process what was happening. It wasn't just betrayal. It was annihilation. Of trust. Of love. Of everything I believed about them. They looked at me like I was the one who had done something wrong. But that was just the beginning. My name's Cassie. I was 25 when all of this happened. On the surface, I had everything going for me. A solid job I actually enjoyed, a tight circle of friends who kept me grounded, and a boyfriend who, by all appearances, was everything I ever wanted. We were living at my mom's house at the time, just until we saved enough to get a place of our own. It wasn't ideal, but it worked. Or at least I thought it did. Tyler. He was the kind of guy who could charm a brick wall. Warm smile, golden retriever energy, always knew exactly what to say to make you feel seen. We met at a mutual friend's party, and from the moment we locked eyes, I felt like I'd known him forever. He wasn't just my boyfriend. He was my person. We did the whole cheesy couple thing, shared playlists, inside jokes, weekend brunches, even had names picked out for future kids. 3 years together, and not once did I question him. That's how good he was. And then there was my mom, Linda. She and I were close. Not like best friends, but we had a bond. She'd been through a rough divorce a few years earlier and was still rebuilding. I respected her hustle, her strength. She welcomed Tyler like family. Maybe too much, in hindsight. She was always offering to make him his favorite meals, laughing too hard at his dumb jokes, dressing a little more polished when he was around. At the time, I brushed it off. I mean, who suspects their mother? Looking back, there were little things. The way their eyes lingered when they thought I wasn't looking. The way conversations would abruptly stop when I walked into the room. I told myself I was imagining it. I didn't want to be the jealous girlfriend or the paranoid daughter. I wanted to trust them. I needed to trust them. But trust only works when it's not being used as a cover. And I never imagined how close they'd really become. At first, it was just a feeling. One of those subtle shifts in the air that you can't quite explain. But your body knows. Before your brain catches up. Tyler started showing up at the house when I wasn't even there. He'd claim he just wanted to keep Linda company while I worked late. It sounded sweet, innocent even. But something about it didn't sit right. I'd come home and find empty wine glasses in the sink. 2 of them. The couch pillows would be rearranged, like they'd been sitting side by side. Once I walked in and heard them laughing in the kitchen. I froze before they saw me, just listening. Their laughter didn't sound normal. It sounded private, intimate, like I was the outsider in my own home. Then there was Mom. She started acting different around Tyler, dressing up more than usual, nice tops, makeup, even perfume, just to run into him in the living room. I told myself I was overthinking it, that I was just stressed from work and reading too much into things. But deep down, my instincts were screaming at me. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. The turning point came one night when Tyler was in the shower and left his phone on the nightstand. I never snooped, not once in our entire relationship. But that night, I felt this overwhelming urge, like the universe was pushing me toward the truth. So I picked it up. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely open the messages. And there it was. A text from an unsaved number, but I recognized the tone instantly. Same time tomorrow? I stared at it, rereading it over and over, hoping my brain was misfiring. But the timestamp was clear. It was sent yesterday, at the exact time I was at work, and he was here. With her. My heart sank into my stomach. I wanted to scream, to cry, to smash the phone against the wall, but I didn't. Instead, I waited for him to come out of the shower, towel around his waist, clueless smile on his face. I held up the phone and asked, as calmly as I could, "Who is this from?" His eyes flicked to the screen for half a second, just half a second, but it was enough. His whole face changed. Panic, guilt, then the worst part, that smug attempt at a smile. "Oh, that? It's just a joke between me and a buddy from work," he said, barely blinking. "Relax." But it wasn't just any lie. It was the kind of lie that carries weight. The kind you tell when you know the truth would burn everything to the ground. It was supposed to be a weekend away with my best friends. We had this whole girls' trip planned. Beach, wine, laughter, something light to shake off the stress. But hours before the trip, one of the girls got sick, and the whole thing fell apart. I didn't even tell Tyler or Mom I was coming back. I figured I'd just surprise them. Maybe we could do takeout and watch a movie. Something normal. Something comforting. The moment I pulled into the driveway, something felt off. Tyler's car was there. So was my mom's. But the house was quiet. Too quiet. No music, no TV, just silence. I pushed open the front door and stepped inside. That same eerie silence met me like a wall. Then, from down the hall, my mom's room, I heard it. A soft thump. A laugh. Low voices. Muffled. Close. Intimate. Every step I took toward that room felt like moving through wet cement. My heart was hammering so loud I could barely hear anything else. But still, I kept walking. I needed to be wrong. I had to be wrong. I stood outside her door, frozen. I didn't knock. I just opened it and everything inside me shattered. There they were. Tyler. My mother. Together. In her bed. Sheets tangled. Bodies close. And in that moment, they didn't look shocked. They didn't even scramble or try to hide. They looked at me. Like I was an interruption. Like I was the one who was out of place. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. The betrayal hit me like a wave, knocking every bit of air from my lungs. I dropped to my knees. My chest was tight. My vision blurred. It was too much. Way too much. I'd caught them. I had proof. And yet, they didn't speak. They didn't apologize. They didn't even flinch. I screamed, loud, broken, from a place I didn't even know existed inside me. But they just looked at me. No shame, no apology, nothing. The next few days were a blur, like living in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I didn't sleep. I barely ate. My brain couldn't make sense of what I'd seen, but the images were burned into me. Tyler tried calling, texting, sending these weak, pitiful messages like he still had a right to anything. When I finally answered, his voice was calm. Too calm. "It was just once," he said. "Your mom, she was lonely. She needed comfort." Like that somehow made it okay. Like he was doing her a favor by destroying me. I laughed. A hollow, bitter sound I didn't recognize as my own. "Once?" I said. "You think that makes this better?" But the real knife came when I confronted my mom. I stood in her kitchen, the same kitchen we used to bake cookies in when I was 10, and begged her to just tell me the truth. To say she was sorry. To say something that made her human again. Instead, she shrugged. Shrugged. "You were never going to marry him anyway," she said, like she was talking about a pair of shoes I didn't want anymore. That's when I knew. I didn't lose a boyfriend. I didn't even lose a mother. I lost everything. I packed a bag that night. No dramatic goodbye. No final words. I just walked out and didn't look back. I stayed with a friend, couch surfed, did whatever I had to, just to be away. And then, 2 weeks later, I found out Tyler had moved in with her. He moved in. Like they were a real couple. Like nothing happened. Like our 3-year relationship meant absolutely nothing. The two people I trusted most, my partner, my mother, they didn't just betray me. They became lovers. I was done. But I wasn't finished. The pain didn't vanish overnight. Healing doesn't work like that. It comes in waves. Some gentle, some brutal. But I let myself feel every single one of them. And somewhere between the tears and the sleepless nights, I realized something. Healing is a form of revenge too. I threw myself into therapy. Twice a week, no excuses. I journaled, I meditated. I learned how to sit with the ache without letting it control me. And for the first time in a long time, I started living for me. I got a new job. A better one. Higher pay, more respect, and, cherry on top, it was at a direct competitor of Tyler's company. Same industry, same clients. And now, I was the one they were choosing. I moved into a cozy little apartment that I decorated exactly how I liked. No more shared closets or borrowed space. Just mine. I hit the gym like my life depended on it. Not to look good for anyone else, but to remind myself how strong I could be. I traveled. Took solo trips I used to dream about. Greece, Morocco, Iceland. I saw the world, and in doing so, I found myself again. And of course, like clockwork, the past tried to creep back in. One day, I got a random text from a number I hadn't blocked, but definitely should have. It was my mom. "Still mad?" she wrote. "You'll understand when you're older." Like she thought time would rewrite the betrayal. Like I'd someday thank her for blowing up my life. I stared at the message for a long time. No anger, no sadness, just this icy calm. She still thought she could reach me, but what she didn't know was that I was about to destroy her world. Revenge wasn't the goal at first. I just wanted to move on. But when the opportunity landed right in front of me, perfectly wrapped with a bow made of karma, I didn't hesitate. At my new job, I found myself working on a major pitch. Big client, high stakes, and as fate would have it, Tyler's firm was one of the other top contenders. I kept quiet at first, professional, distant. But then I saw the client file and realized Tyler was leading the pitch on their side. That's when something in me clicked. I didn't break any laws, I didn't leak secrets, but I did understand exactly how Tyler thought. I knew his approach, his tone, his style. I knew what he'd focus on and, more importantly, what he'd ignore. So, I crafted our strategy to counter his, point by point. It wasn't sabotage, it was precision. And we won. The client signed with us, and Tyler's firm lost out. Badly. I heard through mutual contacts that he'd been lined up for a promotion. This deal was supposed to seal it. But after the loss, it vanished. Just like that. Poetic justice, right? But karma wasn't done yet. A few months later, I got a message from someone I didn't even know. An anonymous Instagram account. They sent me photos, screenshots, proof that Tyler was cheating on my mom with a coworker, younger, blonder, exactly the kind of girl my mother used to passive-aggressively warn me about. It was like deja vu. Same patterns, same lies, same smirk in the mirror selfies. I didn't hesitate. I created a burner email and sent everything to Linda. No name, no message, just the files. And she saw them. The same hotel, the same betrayal. But this time, she was the victim. And I didn't shed a single tear. Eventually, the storm caught up to them. Tyler and Linda didn't last. Of course they didn't. Their relationship was built on lies, shame, and stolen glances. Nothing real ever grows from that. I didn't know the details, but I didn't have to. One day they were playing house, and the next, they were ghosts in each other's lives. Just two people left standing in the ashes of what they destroyed. And then came the messages. First, my mom. She showed up in my inbox like nothing had happened. Long paragraphs, rambling excuses. She blamed everything on Tyler, said he manipulated her, played on her emotions after the divorce, made her feel seen again. "Can't we just talk?" she wrote. "We were a family. Don't let him take that from us." She didn't get it. He didn't take anything. She gave it away. And then, like clockwork, Tyler slithered in. A text. Short. Pathetic. "I miss you. It was a mistake." No apology. No ownership. Just those 6 words, like they were supposed to undo the wreckage he left behind. I didn't respond to either of them. No anger, no satisfaction. Just peace. Because the truth is, they thought I'd stay broken. They thought I'd be waiting. Lost, shattered, desperate for crumbs of attention. But I didn't break. I became someone they couldn't reach. Healing isn't a straight line. It doesn't follow a calendar or a checklist. For a long time, I waited for closure. Some grand apology. A moment where everything would click into place and make sense. But that moment never came. And eventually, I realized it doesn't have to. Closure isn't something you're given. It's something you create. So, I stopped waiting. I stopped checking for messages. I stopped hoping for accountability that was never coming. And I started choosing peace, quietly, privately, for me. I never responded to my mom. I never texted Tyler back. I didn't block them. I just stopped looking. They were free to live whatever version of the truth helped them sleep at night. But I wasn't part of that story anymore. I forgave them. Not because they earned it, not because they asked, but because I didn't want to carry them with me. Forgiveness, I learned, doesn't require contact. It's not an invitation back into your life. It's a release. A decision to stop letting someone else's betrayal shape your future. And as I made space in my life, someone new walked in. No games, no secrets. Just kindness, consistency, and a kind of peace I didn't know relationships could bring. He's nothing like Tyler. And that's the point. Now, I live in truth, in softness, in boundaries. I don't flinch at phone notifications. I don't scan faces for lies. I just live. And as for them, I don't hate them. I just don't carry them with me anymore. If you've ever faced betrayal from someone you trusted, someone who should have protected you, stood by you, loved you, you're not alone. I know the kind of pain that makes it hard to breathe. I know what it's like to question your worth because of someone else's choices. But here's what I also know. You will rise. You'll rebuild. You'll find strength in places you never knew existed. And one day, you'll look back, not with hatred, not with regret, but with pride, knowing you didn't just survive. You evolved. Your glow-up is coming. And it's going to be louder than their betrayal ever was. If stories like this speak to you, stories of revenge, healing, and the kind of comebacks they never see coming, make sure you subscribe. Because this is just the beginning.